Welcome, my brothers and sisters all around this fragile blue planet. Welcome to Wolf Spirit Radio. We are now going to have another Journeys with Rebecca Jernigan and her special guest, Alex Collier. We're going to be simulcasting with Revolution Radio tonight, but I'd like to mention one quick thing. There is a donate button in my chat room and on every one of my pages, and Rev Radio has a donate button there too. If you would be kind enough to drop us a small donation, it helps immensely. And Rebecca, it's all yours.
Okay, everyone, welcome to the show. Let me begin by saying I am broadcasting live we are here with Alex Collier today. We're broadcasting from wolfspiritradio.com, and tonight simulcasting this show is Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. It appears that we might have a little bit of an issue there with Revolution Radio. We're trying to get those technical issues. He said it was all worked out. Let's see if we can get this all fixed for everyone. I do appreciate everyone being here. We have got literally a full house. People are all over in all the different chat rooms. We have monitors everywhere. While you are listening to the show, if you would log on to the website, that's journeyswithrebecca.com, and there is a link to sign up for the free and confidential newsletter. This is where you'll find information on all the guests, the topics, informations, classes, and events that are going on. On my events page, I do post posters of different conferences and special events that are going on. So do check it out. Check out all the classes as well. Again, tonight I have a fantastic guest with us, and his name is Alex Collier. But what I'd like to do for just a moment, if I could, is to take a few seconds here and to remember those that were lost in the 9/11 disaster. I'm going to ask for a few seconds of silence, please. All right, everyone. I thank you so much for the moment of silence that we shared for all of those that lost their lives in that disaster all those years ago, long ago but not forgotten. And thank you, everyone. Tonight, Alex Collier does join me. Now, this is going to be an interesting show because this is a Q&A show. It's a great opportunity for some of the questions that have been asked to get answered from the perspective of Alex and, of course, his A's, as he calls it. Again, reminder that we have chat rooms in Journeys with Rebecca. We have chat rooms at Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, as well as wolfspiritradio.com. So lots of questions have already come in. We are kind of sifting through them even as we speak. So be patient with us. We'll try to get Alex to answer as many of these questions as he can without wearing him out too bad tonight. We will take it easy on you, I promise. Alex, welcome to the show, sweetie.
Thank you, Rebecca. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here.
Oh, no, I think it's my honor, actually. I think it's all of our honors. I think we just need to honor each other, yes?
I agree. Mutual respect.
Yeah, that'd be a great idea, wouldn't it? That'd be a great thing. Great thing. Well, Alex, this has been a much anticipated show by everybody out there tonight. We opted not to take phone calls tonight just due to kind of the technical back issues with the simulcasting of the show, with all the chat boxes being opened and people having to monitor it. We're two separate phone numbers logging in. We also have some other listeners listening in as well. So we opted just to take written questions tonight. And again, all I had to do was post that, and we have got, arm's length of questions for you. But first, what I'd like to do is to say thank you so much for sharing, again, your time, your energy, your information with those of us that I call the seekers out there, those that are really asking the questions. And some of the questions we've gotten in, Alex, are really, really quite astounding. They're very profound. Although I don't think any question is a bad question or a wrong question, some of them are just extremely profound. So we're going to just kind of go with the flow, if you will. But first, maybe you'd like to give us just kind of a synopsis on how things are going for you personally. If there's any pieces of dialogue that you'd like to share with the audience here for just a moment before we kind of just dig right into it.
Okay. Well, like everyone, it's a day-to-day struggle. And I continue to fight the fight. Some days I win, some days I lose. But it literally, survival is a day-to-day issue, like it is for so many. And, many wonderful things are happening. There's a lot of potential out there for wonderful change. And, it just, like so many, one day, you live with hope. You hope that things change and things get better, and you try not to watch the news and listen to the news because it's just so negative. But I'm hopeful and I'm optimistic, and the key to all of the change that we want is us, and we can't ever forget that. We still have the power. We are the power. The planet belongs to us. It doesn't belong to anyone else. It's our home, and we just can never forget that. So, and I'm really thrilled that I know we talked about this, and I asked you if we could just do Q&A, and I'm really pleased that that's what we're going to do. Because as I shared with you earlier, it's really difficult for me to do a monologue, and because I have no idea what people want to talk about.
Sure.
And, I would rather be talking about what they want to hear, than having to try to figure it out and waste their time. So,
I totally agree with that. I sit and do these radio shows all the time, and I sometimes carry a show by myself. And I find a topic, and I always think about that, Alex. I always think, gosh, is this really what anyone really wants to talk about? But it is kind of tough, isn't it? You kind of go, wow, I'm sitting here talking to myself. Well, and I love the Q&A thing myself. I absolutely love the Q&A. I have a few guests that I've had on in the past, and that's all we do is Q&As. And they're fun, and they're exciting, and your conversations just go in different directions, and it's expansive. And so I really am ready, if you're ready, to get down into some questions. If you want to begin, we can do that.
Let's do it.
All right, let's rock, as they say. Okay. This is interesting. This one is from, again, some of these questions came in prior to the show. Earlier this year, Alex made a brief appearance and warned us about the fake mass arrest mem. Has he anything more to say on that? Is there any new developments in that, Alex?
Say it again, the fake?
Fake mass arrest.
Oh, no, I don't have any information. Obviously, it hasn't happened. There is a lot going on. And as I have said earlier, I think back in March, my understanding is that, what we are hearing about is just middle management people. And, you may look at them and say, oh, my God, here's this world-class banker, here's this CEO, here's this political minister, yada, 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 yada. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all middle management. It really is. They're basically the peons as to who's really running the show here. So, no, I don't have any further information, that we absolutely must be vigilant. We can't be fooled by anything. It's my own personal opinion that if the mainstream media is pushing it, you need to watch for what they're not saying. because they speak with forked tongue.
Yeah, that's really good advice. That's really good advice. You know, here's how I look at the news. And actually, somebody taught me, kind of gave me some information. They said, now when you're listening to the news, you pay attention to what they're saying, because what they're saying is diverting you from actually what's really going on behind the scenes. And they allude to it. They allude to it, right, in their, you know, in all their psychobabble, right, that they give to everyone. And you can really begin to pick out what they're not talking about. It's really a fascinating, it's almost like a science when you think about it. It's really kind of interesting. So I do ask people.
It's one huge psyop, you know. They don't write the articles. They just read the articles to people on the news. You know, they're not writing the articles. They're just somebody else is writing it. But it's just a big psyop. That's all it is. And it's a real tragedy. It's a real tragedy that it's gotten to this point.
Yes, you know, I have to agree. And there's unfortunately, Alex, I have to say there's been a lot of tragedies upon this earth, especially in the most recent modern times. You know, but I also think that with all these tragedies, in my opinion, it has allowed many people to kind of wake up and go, what have we been doing? Why are we allowing for this? I mean, I think that's part of some of this as well. So in some senses, as awful as it is, it's also time. It's time for humanity as a whole is to wake up and realize what's being done and become sovereign and empowered. And of course, that could be a whole conversation all by itself. Yes.
Well, you're right, and I think that's a very interesting point when you say, become empowered. They have done so much to disempower us in every aspect of our life and our reality, and to portray themselves as knowing, what's the best thing for us, to literally say, okay, this is the reality we're going to live. And you constantly hear on the news, democracy, democracy, democracy. Democracy is nothing more than mob rule. And, we don't even have that anymore. We really don't. And it's amazing. It is just absolutely amazing to listen to this diatribe of nonsense. And, they're constantly trying to force a reality down our throat that really doesn't exist. And it will only exist if they get us to buy into it, And I'm actually encouraged that so many people are no longer buying the line. They're just not, and that's great. I mean, that's the first thing is seeing the illusion, and taking a step back, and once you really see it, and you have that aha moment, you're never going to get fooled again.
Right.
They're not going to be able to sell it to you, and they overplayed their hand. They really did. They just got too greedy, too belligerent, too drunk on power, and they overplayed their hand. And now the chickens are coming home to roost, and there are a lot of chickens. Chickens who are going to turn into eagles and vultures here, and and we need to be to clean up this mess. I mean, we've got to be eagles and vultures to clean up this mess.
Yes.
Raptors. We just have to become raptors to clean this crap up. Okay, what's the next question?
Oh, wow, the next question's a real interesting one as well. Can you talk about the locations of the ancient galactic stargates and who is currently guarding these portals? Also, anything that the A's have learned about these portals? Now, let me preface all this before you go forward. I'm going to preface all of this, okay? I'm going to stop right here. They're telling me, put on the brakes. Any question that we ask you, that I ask you, that the audience asks you, that I pose to you, that you do not wish to answer, all you have to tell me is that you're not going to answer it. And it is just exactly what that is, and we'll move on to the next one.
Okay. That's a huge question because there are different types of stargates. There aren't just third density, there's fourth and fifth. And there's also, wormholes that technically are stargates, if you use the same definition. So, what is the location of them? Not truly at liberty to say, but let me just say this to you, that every single one of them that's on the planet now is being guarded. And it is not being guarded by the bad guys. The minute they try to open it, it's being shut. And literally on the inside of the gate, when it is open, someone is stationed there. Okay?
Okay. That resonates.
The bullshit's coming to an end. It is.
Well,
the bullshit's coming to an end.
Okay, so I'm going to stop you for a second because I want to pull something else in here. I want to pull another element in here, if I may. This is about the Hadron Collider, where they said they were looking for the God particle. Actually, what they were doing was looking for a way to shift and change through the use of technology to create these, faults. They're artificially created wormholes or stargates. Does that tie in with these natural stargates and or portals, and is that aspect being shut down? I wanted to kind of bring all that in together. Maybe we're talking about apples and oranges here, but I do see a crossover there from that technology with the stargates and the portals as well, as they are naturally occurring.
Okay, well, even the artificial ones. I mean, the benevolent races are well aware of what's going on. And because this has already happened, if you recall a conversation we've had where past, present, and future are all occurring at the same time, we have extraterrestrial races, benevolent races, who have come back in time to be here at this moment. And one of those is the A's. If you remember early on in the information going back to the 90s, they said that they have come back in time to right a terrible wrong. And so they're fully aware of everything we're doing because this has already happened. Let me just say it's all being managed. Okay? There are some lessons for the scientists and the militaries involved in this thing, and don't think for a minute there aren't any militaries involved in the collider, okay, or that the money didn't come from there. Don't even think that. So, it's all being managed, and it's being managed in such a way that there are going to be moments in their attempts to do what they want to do, whether they fully realize what they're doing or not. There are going to be moments where they're going to be confronted with a truth and a reality of not only what they're doing, but who in fact they're working for. And they're going to have a come to Jesus moment where they're going to have to make a decision. Okay? If they make the right decision, it will go really well for everybody. If they make a really poor decision, which so far they have, it's not going to go very well for them. Okay? But it's being managed. It's being managed. And again, they already know. They already know because we've already done this before.
Right.
So, in a way, they've already changed the outcome, but there are some elements. How do I put this without getting myself in even more trouble? Oh, God. I so want to say this. And, they're just jacking with me all the time. It's such a pain in the ass. Um,
For real.
For real. For real.
I know it is.
You know?
I know it is. I know it is. I know. Bless your heart. I know. Yeah. Anonymity has its advantages, man.
Right. Let's just say that there are elements that are so prideful that they absolutely refuse to do the right thing.
Right.
And they are leading them to a place that they absolutely will not be able to get out of. And their own pride is leading them there. So I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Well, that's actually really, really well stated, by the way, in my opinion. I understand exactly what you're talking about, and that's very well stated. You know, it's always been my understanding that, you know, I call it the day of reckoning, that what we call those powers that be, and I call them the powers that were, and the Illuminati, whatever, you know, they're just the peons in a greater hierarchy of stuff going on. And that, you know, if they knew how they were being played, I think some of them would probably change sides. You know, if they were...
I think they would too. I think they would too if they weren't so fearful of what would happen to themselves and their families.
Well,
they're just looking for an out, and it hasn't come yet.
Yeah.
They're looking for an out, and it hasn't come yet.
I think there is one coming. I think there is one coming. I think it's what, you know, it's you know, I call it the day of reckoning. And let's hope for, you know, all of them. You know, it really is my hope. I know it's your hope that humanity can rise above all of this stuff and really, you know, become cohesive and, you know, support each other. And that means that we all have to let go of those things that have programmed us and cause us to drive our car, so to speak, in a way that doesn't suit the human experience. So it would, you know, be my day of joy, let me tell you.
Well, I think humanity will, Rebecca. I'm actually very optimistic humanity will, you know, overcome this once the reality is laid out in front of them. There's going to be a moment of, oh my God, or oh crap, you know, what the hell happened? What is this? There's going to be a period of shock, then there's going to be a period of disbelief, then there's going to be a period of anger and fury and rage. Deservedly, I mean, it's just anger, and it will be just anger. And what I mean by that is J-U-S-T. But the key to this is that we don't let them force us to turn on each other. That is the key. That's always been the key, and it has been that single thing which has kept humanity from moving further along and has always kept them in power, is because they always figure out a way to twist us against each other, where we're fighting their wars, their battles, we're the ones dying, and they're the ones consolidating power all the time.
Right.
When it's over. You know, it's just horse shit. Hey, can I say that on the radio?
Well, you just did. It's all right.
Oh, okay.
No F-bombs, though, okay?
Okay. Well, I wouldn't go there, but, you know, it's horse shit. And we've got to stop this. It's time to clean out the stall. You know,
agreed.
Get the rake and clean the stall.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I'm all for some, you know, spraying some lemon juice or something in there to make it smell better, too.
You're such a girl.
I am, aren't I? Well, at least I'm honoring my gender.
Oh, it's cool.
Yay for all
totally
the women
cool.
out there.
It's cool.
Thank you, Alex. And so are you. You're pretty cool, too. All right. Yeah, really, I mean that. I truly mean that. So, next question. We're going to just kind of roll with it. We got people laughing all over the place. That's great, because we all do need a sense of humor about this, and it's not about making light of it or certainly poo-pooing anything away. But we all have to lighten up, because we can all be so intense. These are intense times that we live in, and you know, laughter and joining in some joy and some smiles helps to relieve stress. It also brings clarity, in my opinion. So I think a good laugh every now and then is a wonderful thing. So let's talk about the galactic's spiritual paradigm, the isness. Can you speak on that?
I don't really know much more than what I've already said. You know, we have a concept, a construct of what we think spirit is and what God is, okay? And we have a construct of that. It's probably not right. It's probably not right, you know, but it's been force-fed to us through the religions and everything else. We know we have soul, and that's, you know, where I'm going to go with this. We know we have soul. We know at the time of death the body loses weight. And there have been, you know, numerous testimonies to out-of-body experiences, near-death experiences, emergency room medical personnel, paramedics who see a puff of cloud, you know, leave either the heart area or the top of the head at the moment of death. We know spirit's real. Okay, so we know that there's spirituality. We know that there's another dimension, that we are multidimensional, because that is a fact. That is a reality. Do we clearly understand the construct of what happens to the soul after death? No, we don't. There are multiple studies, but that is a very small pinhole of what the reality is. Then you have fourth density, fifth density, sixth density, seventh density. You know, these are all physical planes that exist, and there is a physicality, and there is a life and a death process within those realities as well. But their knowledge of the isness or God is different. And what I mean by that is it's more expansive. Remember, you know, we use anywhere from 70 to, I think it's, well, I'll just say anywhere from 14 to 15, maybe if we're lucky, 20% of our brain matter. Now, that's not a put down. It's just that based on our consciousness, that is how much awareness we have. Now, it's different for everybody. Some components, some elements of reality are stronger in others than not. Okay, but when you get to fourth and fifth density, you know, you're looking at using 50 to 70 to 80% of your brain capacity. Therefore, your consciousness is far more expanded, and you have a greater concept of what God, spirit, the spirit world is, and the laws of quantum physics, and how that all relates to the Creator, to the isness, to Great Spirit, to God, whatever name or label you're comfortable with. So, you know, I have an awareness of that, but I'm still experiencing my evolution. You know, I'm still having my epiphanies, just as everybody else is. I may have a working knowledge of probabilities and what's out there in their perspective, but I have not experienced their perspective the way they do. Okay? So my knowledge is limited in that regard.
Mm. You know,
and I took a long time to say that.
No, that's okay. You brought up some really valid points here. Some of the points that you brought up were, you know, you are experiencing life from the third dimensional physical incarnation. You know, that's who you are. Your expansiveness, and I like that, what you've said about that you're still receiving epiphanies. You know, I do my own spiritual work, as most people who are listening do. And I realize the more that I learn about the quantumness, I call it, of it all, the more I absolutely recognize that my brain cannot absorb the expansiveness of it from where I'm sitting in this third dimensional physicality of consciousness. because we're not there in the fifth dimension in the way that we're sitting here in our consciousness.
Well, it's that, and it's also we are so stuck or so focused on creating language for our experiences that I can honestly tell you that there have been things that I've experienced with them that I simply cannot explain.
Right.
I had it, I felt it, but there are no words for what I experienced. And I know there are people out on the planet, and those probably listening to this, who have had those moments where you've experienced something so profound that you can't even explain it to anybody else. But nonetheless, you experienced it. It's real. Because our ways of expressing it are so limited because we are operating on half a battery, or, you know, we're a few beers short of a six-pack, I guess. I don't know how else to explain it. But, you know, that's what it is. It's real. It happened, but we can't explain it. Because there's just no language.
Yes.
So.
And yeah, and you know, the older I get, you know, it makes you question whether you're getting senile or not, because the older I get, the less effective my vocabulary seems to be becoming in regards to explaining things. It's limiting. Our vocabulary, the way that we communicate, is extremely limiting.
You're right. You're exactly right, and it's almost like the older we get, the less we know.
Yeah.
It's like we get all this experience, but hell, if you can explain it, you know.
Yeah. Can I draw a picture? Well, gosh, I can't even draw a stick man.
I can't find my crayons, you know? Yeah, I can't find my crayons. Where are my crayons? I forgot where I put my crayons.
Oh, for real. All right, well, let's move forward. I think that was fun. This one is on the Roswell alien interview transcript that's currently doing its rounds. It speaks of an ancient conflict between the old empire and the domain. The Roswell alien claimed to be a member of the latter group, which would be the domain. Is this reality according to the A's, and do they know of these factions?
I don't know anything about this document, having limited internet. I don't know anything about this document. So I've I've not had a chance to. I mean, have there been ancient wars and conflicts out there? Oh yeah. We're in the middle of one right now, frankly.
Yeah, it's really old.
You know, we are, whether we believe it or not, we're in the middle of one. And it hasn't been resolved yet. But I've not had an opportunity to ask them about that. So the answer to that is I don't know.
So this would be maybe a good question that, Alex, I'll forward to you, because this would be a great discussion to have, because it's interesting. The person that brought this up, you know, I don't read a lot of what other people are writing. I don't listen to videos. I don't go to other people's websites. It's just stuff that seems to float up into my space for whatever reason, and I pay attention to what I call the trends. So this is the third time in about a week that the terminology old empire and the domain has come up into my space. So I think, like you, I think I need to do a little research on it. And figure out what that's really talking about, because it has I'll tell you, it has a feeling of familiarity to me, even though I'm not familiar with the contents of it at all, you know, in this space. So I think that would be just fascinating to have a discussion on that at some later point in time.
Okay, well, let me put this out there. Based on things that they have talked about, the old empire might be the Orion Empire, and the domain might be the group that they call the consortium. And they're not. You wouldn't want to have a few beers with either one of the two groups, from what I've been told.
Mm. Mm.
No margaritas, just pass the peanuts and we're out of here.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I'll take it to go, please. Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So,
well, good.
But I will ask. If you forward that to me, I will do my best to get a response for that.
Sure, that would be great. And again,
Okay.
we'll just get that taken care of at some later date, or maybe if you're on another radio show, that might be something. Because I know I have a lot of other radio hosts out here listening to us tonight, and so they may be, writing down notes. It might be something that they would ask at another time when you're on one of their shows as well. So it'll be fantastic. Okay, so let's see. Here's another one that's a good question. This one is asking if you know of or heard about the Cassiopeian sessions, which also began in 1994 with the similar messages of densities, dimensions, reality, and the situation we are in.
I did follow that in the late 90s. I mean, I was approached by several people about that, but unfortunately, that's as far as it went. I knew that there were other contactees, either physical or through telepathic means, that were sharing very similar information that have the same intent, and that is to help humanity mature and come into its own power. I'm aware of that, but I don't have any specific knowledge of what they're saying. There's been a lot of life going on, so unfortunately I've I've been trying not to drown. So
yes,
so that's
understood.
all I have. I don't know.
Okay. Okay.
But the Cassiopeians, from what I've been told, are an absolutely remarkable race who have had, their own trials and tribulations, and figured out a way to step into their power as well. So they would be a great group to help mentor, and basically that's what they're doing through their contactees and their telepathic communication with the people here. Is they've begun a mentoring process as well.
I'm so glad you brought that term up, because I was going to ask you about this personally myself. You've spoken about you'd like to become a mentor. What specifically are you speaking of when you're talking about mentoring? I understand it from the viewpoint of those other races or beings out there mentoring us. In other words, guiding us and helping us and answering our questions, etc., and so forth. But you said that you would like to be around to mentor others. So are you talking about after the shift? What were you alluding to there?
Okay, well, I didn't mean me. I meant other races that are mentoring. Okay. Personally, I'd like to retire. This has been way too rough on me. Which is why if I had to do it over again, I wouldn't. It has just cost me more than I can imagine, and it's been everything to hold on to what I have now. But I have absolutely no problem passing the baton, none whatsoever. And that may happen here at some point, and I have absolutely no problem with that. But many of the races they have genetic lineage here on Earth, which is why we have so much diversity. And their vested interest is in that genetic lineage. Their cultures are such that they just don't abandon their lineage, ever. Even if we're simply dumb as rocks and we're not aware of the fact that they're there, okay? They would still in some way intervene and try to mentor their lineage, because we're connected, or our lineage here is still connected to them. Not only to physical, but even as a soul group. Okay? Now, soul group is very important because the soul group, S-O-U-L, spans dimensionality. It spans dimensionality.
Okay.
And they take that very, very seriously. So, yes, they are mentoring. There is mentoring going on out there with very specific groups who are becoming enlightened as to what's really been going on. Groups that have been stuck in black programs who have had their lives totally compartmentalized. They're being mentored when they go out there. There is an awful lot going on a multiple of levels. And again, Rebecca, this has all happened before, okay? They have come back now in time, these benevolent groups, to make sure the outcome is different. And they've already changed the outcome. It's just certain things have to play themselves out.
Sure.
And that's kind of what's going on. And the release of information from so many people, contactees, abductees, people who are receiving telepathic communication, all of this information is being put out in front of people, and the people have a choice to pay attention or not. You know, and they will, their ability to manage the change in their own personal lives and that of their space will be based on this knowledge, all right? Having the appropriate knowledge of how to deal with everything that's going on will be based on their knowledge of what is going on. So, you know, if you look at it in that perspective, everyone who's into this, who is studying this field, paying attention to the changes, to the information, ladies and gentlemen, you are all being mentored whether you know it or not. Because you're going to come to a point where the people in your space are going to come to you and say, what the hell is going on? And you're going to just have it. Bam. It's going to be right there. You're going to know. You're going to lay the scenario out for them, and that will empower them to step out of the drama and be the observer. And that's very important, is to be able to observe what is going on so that you don't buy into the horse shit.
Yeah, that stall we have to clean out.
Exactly.
Well, very well said.
You know, you want to be able to see the forest from the trees.
Exactly. Well, that was really well said, Alex. Thank you so much for that. And I hope that the people that are out there listening really gravitate to that last little bit that you shared with them. The ones that are I call them the seekers. The ones that are listening, they're the ones that's going to be standing in the middle of the chaos when it comes down. If it comes down, and it may not come down in the way that we anticipated, and hopefully it's a little easier than what the potential or possibilities are out there. But they're the ones that's going to be standing strong in the middle of all of it, and that's when the people are going to be needing them the most. That's when your brothers and sisters... Yes.
Right. They'll be strong, and they will be calm because they know what's happening. And calm is really going to be the strength, because they're going to be flipping out, oh my God, what the, and you know, and the seekers or the teachers, whatever we want to call them, you know, they're going to be calm, and they're going to say, now just listen. Here's what's happening. Get a hold of yourself and just observe what is going on. And they will guide them to the reality of what has been going on, and this will in turn empower them so that they can help calm somebody else down the road. You know, when this thing unscrews, it's going to be very quick, and it may last a year or two, but it's going to seem it's going to seem like a heartbeat. It's going to go by so fast, because we're going to be moving into another domain of knowing. And even though by our calendars it's going to be 2 years, we're all going to look at each other and go, where the hell did it go? Because it's going to move very quickly. We're going to move out of this chaos very quickly into something very organized, very soulful, and something that is so harmonious that it's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing. It really is. But we're not done with the bumps in the road yet. We got some big bumps coming. But those bumps hopefully will awaken people to empower themselves, and not turn on each other. Because they're counting on us going into fear. They're counting on us going into fear.
Yeah.
And tearing ourselves apart,
Agreed. So as you're talking about this, it brings up another question here, Alex. How soon do you kind of, and I'm not holding you, and neither is anybody else out there, to a date or time. Here's my impression. I'm just going to put myself out there. My impression is that, we're rolling into it. I mean, we're already knee deep into it. We just haven't, we haven't hit, the thing of where we're in it fully, completely, but we're in it. This energetic shift, whatever you want to call it, is already started. It's already happening. You can see it everywhere around you. That's why the world is in such a state that it is, because these are the events. Events have to unfold. People can make choices, and certainly it can shift and change how it is actually experienced by the majority. So when you say this, it'll be happening very quickly, and when it does, it only lasts a year or two. So how soon do you actually see this as a kind of the pinnacle, I guess, where it reaches, it crests?
Rebecca, I don't have that answer. I honestly don't have that answer. But I'll get back to you on that.
Well,
I'll get back to you on that. Everybody's missed the timelines. I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know, but we are in it, and we are going to be crossing the galactic plane, or the galactic equator, which is this enormous plasmic field of energy and consciousness and debris, by the way, and that is affecting all the stars, all the planets, all physicality, all DNA, all RNA. It's affecting everything, and it's going to, and we're going from a negative ground to a positive ground as we go through this equator, the galactic equator. NASA and scientists are calling it filament. It is more than that, far more than that. And, just heads up. It's going to be a remarkable journey. It really is.
It truly is. And here again is another one of those terms that are trending, is the term filament. Interesting. And I would like to, share with people at this time is that words really, they're limiting. They're just they're box-like structures in a sense. I mean, it's about expanding beyond the words and sensing the energy and really picking up on I guess the picture, Alex, that you're trying to share through words, but also through your energetics, through the way you visualize that while you're speaking it as well. So just kind of a little clue there for, I think, some people. Now we've got, I think we've got about 7 minutes. You want to try another question here before we go on a break? We will going to let everyone get up for a few minutes at the top of the hour, which will probably be helpful, yes?
Yeah, let's do another question.
All right. Let's see. Where are we at here? Can you detail any of the other ET races, or have you met any other ET races through the A's in person other than the A's?
Yes, I have, actually. And that's very interesting. That's a very interesting story, and I'll tell you quickly. Yes, I've seen other races, humanoid and some who were not. There was one particular individual, I called him that because I don't know how else to label this person. He was a hydrogen being, and he had to wear a suit. And I could see facial features within the suit that he wore because he had to wear the suit. And he was just basically pure hydrogen energy. That's how it was explained to me. There was another time where I was with Theseus and Mornay, and there were on board their scout craft two beings who I could not look directly at. If I was looking, when I was looking directly at Mornay or Theseus, I could see them out of my peripheral. And I'm not sure that I could even describe them because I never really got a chance to look at them directly. And I was told that they were sixth density beings. Their mentors, okay? And they were there to observe our interaction. But I could not look at them directly. I could only see them through my peripheral. It was really strange, but I can tell you they were incredibly powerful. I was in awe of their presence, literally in awe. And again, this is one of those situations where there were no words. They didn't speak directly to me, nor did I hear their conversation with Mornay or Theseus or anybody else on the craft. But their presence was absolutely felt. So there you go. We got time for one more question?
I think so. That one just really, that one really expanded. I love that one. Woohoo. Here's a good one. How can we individually contact the A's?
If you go to... I did a talk at the ranch in 97, I think, or 96. It was 1996. And I put their symbol on the board up when I did that talk for Jay-Z Knight and her folks up there at the ranch. I would suggest you use that symbol and you meditate with it and you project it into the sun, our sun, with the intent that it goes to the sun Mirage in the constellation of Andromeda. Now, why do I say that? If extraterrestrial races are far from their star systems, they send signals using suns back to their home worlds. And I'll let you think about that for a little bit.
Ooh, I already got picked up on that one, baby. Ooh, I like that one. That's some insight right there. Thank you.
You're welcome. There's a lot more to the sun.
Ooh,
There's a lot more to the sun than just a tan, let me tell you.
Oh, for sure. Or a sunburn, right? Well,
that's it.
You know, we only got a couple minutes here, so let me share a little story with you. Back in the early 90s, I have my own communication with, my collective group that they have been with me for all of my life, the Elohim, they call themselves. And at one point in the 90s, I was contacted by a being that kind of showed itself in my space. It wasn't a manifestation, just kind of showed up in my space, and it was an Andromedan. And I communicated with this Andromedan for maybe 6 months, maybe a little bit longer. You know, it's like, what is time? It's not relevant in some ways. And it was really, really fascinating to me. It was in the early 90s because this was somebody new, because I'd spoken to other races and other beings, but this was the first time an Andromedan showed up. And then what was the most fascinating portion about that is when I heard about you as well. It was back in the early 90s. So all of that had some kind of timing mechanism there. I just thought it was just kind of a really cool little story to share with you and the audience. They haven't been in contact with me, nor have I tried to reach them since then, but I always sense them on my, as you would call it, the peripheral vision. Like they're sitting out there. I don't know if they're waiting for me to invite them back or what. I don't know. But they are sitting out there. And so it's always fun to connect with you, because then they feel like they're closer in to me. That's the only way. It's a perception, of course, you know. So they always feel like they're closer in when I have conversation with you. So it's really, really
that's
fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Well, you're very welcome. So here's where we're at, everyone. Oh, my goodness. Alex Collier is here with us. You are listening to Wolf Spirit Radio as well as Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. We're going to take a short break. We're going to come back a little bit after the top of the hour. So get up, refresh your coffee, your water, stretch your legs, and we'll be back here in just a short bit to continue with our Q&A with Alex Collier. Don't go away.
And Alex, let my walker alone. Dadgummit. All right, folks.
I was hoping you didn't hear that.
We're live, by the way. I'll teach you for that. All right, folks. I'm going to give a short commercial break here for donations for Revolution Radio and Wolf Spirit Radio and Alex Collier 1818 at live.com on PayPal.
It's actually Ivanhoe 1818 at live.com. That's for PayPal if you want to just use the email address. Again, it's Ivanhoe 1818 at live.com. Also, donation buttons can be found at alexcollier.org. Please support Alex in the work so that we can continue to bring him forward through my show and other radio shows. This information is too invaluable for us not to support him. Every little bit helps. So if you can help out Alex, again, it's Ivanhoe 1818 at live.com. That's just going into using your PayPal and using that email address, or logging on to alexcollier.org and use the donation buttons there. We're very honored to have Alex here with us tonight. So if we could all just show a little support for him, that would just be absolutely fantastic. Every little bit does help. And thank you for Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com and also wolfspiritradio.com. So, you know, share the love. We're all in this together, and we're all here to support each other in any way that we possibly can. And we want to thank you all for being here tonight, and certainly would love thanking Alex Collier for being here. Hello, my dear.
Hello. Hello.
Hello. We have been off the air, not talking at all. So Alex and I just sat in total silence during the break, never spoke a word to each other. Now, if they all believe that, I don't know what else I can tell them.
We had quite the chin waggle, actually.
Chin waggle. I love it. It's great. All right. Here we go. We've got some more questions. Are you ready?
Yes, please.
All right. I love this. I love this. You know, this one is a question that gets frequently asked. I get asked this one as well on my show during certain guests, sometimes just of me, about the ET races and if any of them are ever going to show themselves publicly to the human race. What's your take on that?
Yes, they will. When? I don't know. I personally thought it was supposed to have happened before this. I actually had put that out there because I was told it was going to happen before this time. None of those deadlines, all those deadlines have come and gone. The answer is yes. It's inevitable because we are calling this forth. I just don't know the time or the day or the night. I just don't know anymore.
You know,
so all we
yeah.
can do is do what we can do, you know?
Yeah. You know, there's different sides of that, Alex. I just kind of want to broaden this out a little bit. You know, the information I get is that some walk amongst us, whatever that means. You know, we're not going to go down that rabbit hole, but you know, there's some that walk amongst us. They're not necessarily going to show themselves as an Andromedan or you know, a Venusian or a Martian or whatever, right? They're not going to do that in that way.
No.
Humanity's not quite ready for that process yet, but we could quickly get there. We could quickly get there when more of the human race wakes up to see the reality of who they really are, the sovereign beings that they truly are, is when it's going to happen. In my opinion, that's just my opinion. But you know, they're here in a sense already.
They are, and I know I'm going to say something that's going to be somewhat controversial to those who will be hearing this later on as they're awakening. But you know what? We're extraterrestrials. Every single one of us. Just because we're born on the planet, our souls were not born and hatched here. Our souls have all had multidimensional experiences in other realities, in other worlds, planets, universes, galaxies. Okay? There is no age to us. So, you know, literally, the extraterrestrials are us as well. We just have to broaden our perspective and look at it, you know, for what it is. You know, if they're coming in just to remind us as to who we are.
Yeah,
enough said. I mean, I don't know how to say it any more than that. You know, it's just like,
good.
Wake up. Wake up. Get out of the coma. You know.
For real.
So,
yeah,
for real.
Come unplugged. Yeah, unplug from the programming. That's very well said. Thank you for that. Really, thank you for that. And I know that's sitting with some people, and I hope they expand on that. I truly do. Let's go with another question. Regarding the universal law of non-intervention, if we ask for specific help, does that then bypass the law?
Well, technically, yes, the answer to that question is yes. But as I said earlier, the benevolent races have genetic lineages here. Okay? They have a right to intervene because of that. That's two. Number three, the third element. In the future, the reason they've come back in time is because in the future, something terribly goes wrong in our galaxy. And they have brought a series of events that occur in the future back to our tiny little solar system. And that gives them the right to intervene because somebody does something that tweaks everybody's reality. And what they did, and I don't have the full picture yet, but what they did created tyranny, and it is not okay. It is not okay. It is not okay to create tyranny and enslave anyone. It is never okay to do that. Whether it's on Earth, whether it's in your neighborhood, whether it's in the United States, or any other country, or any other planet, or any other solar system, it is not okay to enslave anyone. And they have intervened. They are intervening because it's not okay. It is not going to be allowed to happen. I can't say it any clearer than that.
That's that's a huge message right there, and it really puts a whole lot of things into perspective. Just the information that you shared, if people will just stop and let their picture broaden a little bit, they can really see where all of this is actually going. I like that. Thank you very much for sharing that particular piece of information as well. Okay, let's see. There you go. Okay. Okay, here's one. What are your thoughts about Nibiru approaching the Earth and causing a pole shift? If this is true, will that happen before the end of this year? At Nibiru.
Well, I was hoping to get away with that one.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll tell you what I know, and I'll tell you what I don't know. I know that back in was it 2010? I think I did Awake and Aware. I told everybody at that conference that there was a large planetary body coming in 15 degrees right ascension of Neptune's orbit, and it kind of just went past everybody apparently. Well, they're seeing it in Antarctica. Is it Nibiru? It's more like a dwarf star. Let's just go there. Okay, are they the same? No, they're not the same. There is some genuine concern that this planetary body at some point is going to be very close to us, and it is going to cause the displacement of water at the equator, causing the loss of coastline all around the world. And I mean all around the world. Now, the scary part about that is 90% of the world's population lives along the coastlines. Militaries have studied the issue. Information has been shared with different militaries in different states. There are rumors abound that here in the United States, our military is moving equipment inland away from military bases that are along the coastline. There appears to be a lot of evidence for it, confirmations that is in fact occurring. When is the date? I don't know that. If I had the date, I would absolutely tell you. When I get the date, I will tell you. Okay? When I have the date, I will tell you. But they are, in fact, preparing for something. Is there going to be an actual physical pole shift? It doesn't have to happen. There can be intervention. They can plow the road in front of us. They can put a very large spacecraft, something the size of Jupiter, between us and it, and we won't have that kind of devastation. But there will be some Earth changes. The Earth herself is going through a process herself, okay? And she needs to expand, she needs to grow, she needs to change her shape, her form, because she's a living being as well. And those things are going to happen. Does it have to be an absolute catastrophe? No, it does not. Will it be? Probably not. But things are going to happen. And some of them will appear to be shocking and severe and sudden. I mean, there's a lot of things going on the planet. Earthquakes everywhere. You've got steam coming up from fault lines across the planet. You have the smell of sulfur in major areas of the United States and other parts of the planet. Things are happening. And, you know, we just have to kind of go with the flow. And that's really what it's about, is going with the flow here. And we're entering the galactic equator, this huge plasmic field. That's also another element. You know, do I understand how all these things are going to play out? No, I don't. But I do know that we have to go with the flow here. And we have to adapt. We have to adjust. We have to remember that we are all brethren, and whatever happens, if we stick together, we can get through this. The governments are not going to tell us crap, because they're stuck in maintaining control and maintaining power. That's their paradigm. And they haven't broken that paradigm yet, nor have they broken out of it. They're still addicted to it. So, ladies and gentlemen, we got to figure this out. Okay? We have to figure it out. And if you remember what I said in Hawaii, we need to turn our focus off this and create a new paradigm, a new domain, and figure out a way to create something that works for all of us. And we can do it. We absolutely can do it, because we are the power. They only exist, these governments only exist because we give them the power. So, let's take our focus, let's take our power, and let's create something that works for all of us. I mean, this isn't complicated. We just have to do it, you know, and it doesn't need a leader. We're all leaders. Just, you know, when you go to bed at night, you just tell Spirit, you tell whatever you pray to, I want something, I want a reality that works for me. I want something that is for my absolute highest good. And you go there for your children, for your family, your friends. I want something that is for my highest good. And we just demand it. We just demand it, and it will appear. The solutions will come about, and you will all be surprised when it does. You will. So I hope that answer works for everybody.
You know, I think that was very well said. I'd like to ask you, when there's two things that I'd like to ask you about in regards to, you know, how you answered that. One was you talked about an event that would displace the water, and what would be affected would be those of the coastlines. Can you explain a little bit more about what that actually looks like in physicality? And then I'll ask you the second question when you're done with that.
Oh, you would ask that.
I'm sorry. I can rescind my question.
No, hey, it's your job. I get that. You know, I get that. What does that look like? The coastlines. I only have specifics regarding the United States.
Okay.
Okay, at the moment. And do I have absolute proof this is what's going to happen? No, I do not. But I will share with you what has been relayed to me and shared with me, okay, by people who really would know this. If they're right, and this thousands and thousands of miles of water is displaced from the equator, we will lose 50 to 100 miles of coastline on the west coast. Parts of Mexico will completely be underwater. Florida will be completely underwater. Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, Louisiana, and a third of Texas will be underwater. Along the East Coast going up to Maine, certain areas will have not as drastic, but the coastlines will all be affected. But what I've been told is that the water on the East Coast, especially the Southeast, will reach the Blue Ridge Highway. Okay? That's what they're saying. And that's what they've been told, based on models that have been done, computer-generated models. Will it happen? I don't know. I know that there is, in fact, some preparation going on. Will there be intervention? I pray for it every day.
You bet.
I pray for intervention every day, that we don't have to experience that. So that's what I know. I've shared with you what I know. You know, I don't want it to happen, no more than anybody else would. But
that's right.
That's the rumor. That's the rumor.
Okay.
And
so
if I get any more information about it, I will make sure you guys know.
Woo! Rock on, you all heard him. The next question is an kind of an expansion when you were talking about the galactic center. What happens in the physicality of that? Does anybody even really understand it? What are the physical things that we might experience? I look at everything, by the way, Alex, is not written in stone. Everything is a potential. But that potential doesn't have to be realized, whether we look at it as a negative or a positive. It doesn't have to be realized. It's just simply a series of events that could happen. Doesn't mean that they will happen. So I personally myself am not holding any of the information that you have shared with us as, well, this is just the way that it is. It's simply a potential. So as a curiosity question.
I didn't say that. It was this. I didn't say that. did I? That this is
No.
this is just what it is. I didn't say that.
Nope, you did not.
know.
But I want to make sure everyone else understands that.
Okay.
That we're simply talking about potentials here. We're not talking about this is
right.
This is the way it is.
Now,
this is a potential.
Now, if I understand the other question, is there some things we can look for through our migration through third, fourth, and into fifth density? Is that the question?
As this planet moves through the galactic center space, coming up here, the physical Earth moving through this field that we've not experienced, at least in this modern time, right? What does that
information? What does that look like? Yeah. I don't know, but I do know that information will be given to us to prepare for it.
Okay.
There's no way they would just leave us hanging. There's no way that's going to happen. That information will be given to us.
Good.
And people will choose to do with it what they will because they have free will, but information will be given as to how to prepare for that. Absolutely expect it.
Yes. And I agree with that. So now that we've talked about you've talked about the galactic plane, somebody's asking about the galactic plane and the photonic belt. Is one real and the other a myth, or are they different names for the same thing?
Well, they could be the same name, different names for the same thing. Okay, it is the equator. It is the galactic equator.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay. In my opinion, they're the same thing.
Okay. Let's see. This next one is a question for you personally, Alex. And again, I'm just going to remind everyone that Alex does have the right not to answer any of them. And I don't think there'll be an issue with this. When did you last have contact with the A's?
In March.
In March. Okay. There was no other follow-up on that, just that they wanted to know when the last time it was that you spoke with the A's.
In March.
This next one is kind of I'm going to have to reword it a little bit. It's not. Will the powers that be implement a new world order this year?
Oh, I think they're working. They're busy beavers. They're working their little butts off to try to make that happen. And will it actually occur? I'm not so sure anymore because, so many people have awoken, to their dastardly deeds. And there's quite a bit of scuttlebutt out there about white hats and black hats and, spiritual teachers and people just waking up and, just having had enough of this nonsense, where 1% decides to control the other 99%. I mean, who came up with that rule? That's just ridiculous. And, so I don't know that it's going to happen. I know that they have put all these things in play to happen, but there are people who are just not going there. They refuse to go there. And there is so much going on behind the scenes that, most are not aware of, not only in the banking world, but between governments and ET races. There's just a great deal of stuff going on. And, there are people out there sharing that information as well. At this particular moment, Morine did say back in the 90s that it would come to fruition for 8 months. It would only last 8 months before it imploded on itself. Okay? And what that means is they all turn on each other. Things have changed so much since then that I just, Rebecca, I don't necessarily see it happening.
Yeah.
I really don't. Basically, I think they're toast already. I really do.
Well,
I think they're toast already.
I'm not sure that I disagree with that either, Alex. I look at exactly what's going on around. We have to look at this country because this is where we're from. That's where your attention is. It's what literally the roof you live under, in a sense. And it's become so obvious. And if it's not obvious to people, like even the great ones that are asleep, you think, I don't know how more obvious it could be. But again, and here's an example. I was kind of floating through the internet, and here we have is apparently during one of the conventions that was up, there was a statement made by Obama that said, I'll agree with the Republicans when they agree to raise taxes. And I thought about that, and I was like, well, that's kind of an odd statement to make. We're $16 trillion in debt. We keep getting taxed more and more and more, and yet we keep running out of money. Where does that math show up at? Because I like to be able to cook my books like that. How absurd is that?
Oh, well, of course. It's all nonsense. It's all nonsense. The Federal Reserve creates money out of nothing, and it loans it to us at face value plus interest. If we could get rid of the Federal Reserve tomorrow, and it basically just the only debt we would owe would be to other countries. I mean, it's really simple. This is not complicated. Once you really understand what's going on, this is not difficult. And what is money? It's just a piece of paper where we believe it has value.
Right.
Okay? This is not complicated. And, when you look at these knuckleheads, what they're doing, they want to own everything. They want to own all the money, and they're going to destroy the planet just so they can sit on a pile of gold. What have they gained? Absolutely nothing. It is just stupid to even go there. And it's ridiculous that we even let them go there. I mean, it's oh my God, I don't know how I get so frustrated with this because, I have a different perspective. I've been able to have a different perspective looking at a race that never uses money, would never use money because they see all the traps and pitfalls of it and what it stands for. And they just shake their head, why don't we see this? That we even allow this game to exist. Because we can change it in a heartbeat. We just have to stand up for ourselves.
Yes. Well, I think
really
people are getting wise. I think they're getting wiser. I truly do. We're seeing, we've seen the Tea Parties. We've seen the Wall Street sit-ins. We've seen all of that coming up. That hasn't shown up, since, the 60s, in this country.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, just like in the 60s, however, obviously the area is a little different, but there's been no violence on behalf of those that are having these protests. The violence is coming from, obviously, the military or the police force. And the public is being able to see that. Even as much as they like to squelch that information, it's still being shared. It's also interesting that people who are in jobs that have been fired or let go, all of a sudden they're just spilling their guts as to what's really been going on, what they've witnessed. It's a lot of disgruntled employees. And we're going to see more of that. It's going to be more and more people, what some people would term whistleblowers coming out. This is absolutely perfect as far as I'm concerned. We're able to see it. And this is, how the dynamics and the mechanics of, what we call our governments, our money, how we all live our life. People are just going to really start beginning to look at what have we been doing? What have we been doing? And it's beyond time. Time is here.
Yeah, there's been two sets of rules. We've all tried here in, around the world to try to play by the rules. And those at the very top threw away the rules a long time ago and just laugh at us for continuing to play by the rules, as they break their own rules and laws and, basically figure out ways to gain more power. And what they don't understand is, they have an addiction. They have an addiction to power and to control. And what they've done is they have literally broken themselves away from humanity. They're not even a part of humanity, because how can you do this to humanity just for the sake of your own power and control?
Yeah.
It's scary. It's really scary.
It
And they
is.
need to be busted. They need a spanking. They absolutely need a spanking. So,
Ooh, there'd be a lot of people lined up. About 6 billion, I think. Yeah, there you go. I kind of like that idea. All right. We're going to kind of shift gears here. We've got an interesting question that came in that somebody would like to know about angels, if you could explain angels.
no, I can't. No, I can't.
Okay.
Okay, next question.
This one would be, let's see, if this one is a kind of a follow-up from when we were talking about ETs showing themselves, and we talked about that, you did. If they show up, would we be able to tell who are, quote-unquote, the good ones and, quote-unquote, who are the bad ones?
That's a $64,000 question. Whoever that was, nice question. I wrestle with that myself. I really do. And I have thought about this for quite some time, and in anticipation of that question, and this is the only response at the moment that I can give you. You're going to have to trust your gut. You're not going to don't listen, don't pay attention to what you see, to what you hear, but listen to your gut, your intuition. Because I've always been told since day one, since I was a kid, that the first group we meet would not be friendlies, but they would pretend to be. And they will dazzle with technology, they will dazzle with beauty, with handsomeness, they will dazzle. But we need to trust our gut, our intuition. And if the governments are forcing them down our throat, that should tell you everything.
Mm-hmm.
Everything. Because they're going to cling to power till the very end.
Yes. And, that's, it's using discernment, learning to expand and really sense the vibration. You can sense a person's, if you will, intentions. Using those senses is going to be so extremely valuable in the times ahead. And not looking at, just the nuts and bolts of it, but really sensing what does your gut, like you called it, tell you about this or these beings standing in front of you. That's absolutely fantastic, Alex. All right, let's see. Let's go into, this one is a British question. Is Britain going to rise? Is the British going to rise their opposition to the royal families?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. But I would like to just say this. There is a presence that rules this planet with an iron fist. And ladies and gentlemen, it is not the royal families. Okay? It is something that is not us. And I've been saying this forever. Okay? They're the face, but they're truly not the ones that rule the planet. Would we like to see more backbone from the royals? Would we like to see them stand up and say, hey, enough is enough? And, that would be great. That would be wonderful. Will we? I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. But the source of most of our problems on the planet comes from this hidden group that rule the planet with an iron fist, and they are not us.
Yep. Okay. I'll move on to the next question. Was going to do my job there, and I thought better of it. What do you make of the info Tolok and Atlantic Cobra? What is that? You know what?
I don't know.
I don't understand.
I don't know. I've had several conversations with Tolek, and he's a very interesting man.
Okay.
And I know he is sharing what he's being given. So, I'm not going to criticize anybody else's work.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's very sincere, and he's giving what he's being given. He's sharing what he's been given. So,
well, I think that doesn't that speak to us using discernment? What resonates you keep, and what doesn't you discard, without prejudice, without bias.
Well, yeah. I mean, you take in information and what feels right to you, what works for you, what makes sense for you, which puts pieces together for you, you keep. And then what we usually do is we let the rest of it go, and after a while we forget about it until something comes up, and then we'll remember a piece of information. I mean, that's how this works, Does anyone on the planet have all the answers? No. No one does. We all have pieces. We all have components, and, we're all trying to figure it out as well.
Yeah. We all came here without rule books, right? I don't have
Yeah, I
mine
mean, it would be awesome if, somebody put a manual in the placenta.
Yeah, wouldn't that be great?
It would be, yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, there's a manual.
Yep.
So.
Yep, that's what I used to tell my kids when they were younger. I said, "Look, y'all didn't come with the manual. I'm doing the best I can." They would look at me really strange. They still look at me really strange. What am I saying? It's all good. Let's see. Do you know any other contactees? Have you spoken to any other contactees in the recent time, Alex?
Yes, I have. I've been contacted by contactees from across the world. Yes, and there are many. There are many.
Yeah. Are you guys supporting each other, I would assume?
Yeah. And most of the conversation is, I'm thinking about doing this and coming forward. What would you suggest I do, and should I go about it? And, I try to teach them, not to make the mistakes I've made. But there are some remarkable people out there, and I am very encouraged that when they finally step into their role of sharing their information, and that they will do so in a way of humility and giving what's best for humanity, because it really is about us. It's not about me or them. It's really about us. The information is for us as a humanity, not for the individual, and that's where it needs to be, and that's the way it needs to be shared. So
that had some good vibes to it. Thank you, Alex. That was wonderful. Thank you. And for all those contactees out there as well. Blessings to all of you guys. All right, the next one is, are some of the dark beings given the choice to surrender and leave this planet, and are some taking that option at this time?
Yes, many have. Yes, they have. And they were wise to do so. They were wise to do so. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. They're not going to go down with the ship, in other words. Yeah.
Well, many of them were prisoners as well.
Well, that's true.
Held by fear. The controllers had specific mechanisms to control them as well. And when they saw an opportunity to break free of a paradigm that was in fact imprisoning them and making them a slave to it, they took it. So that should tell you everything about, where this is going.
Yeah.
I mean, they can't even, they just simply cannot support it anymore because it simply isn't serving anyone.
That's correct.
Except
for those
it's not even serving them. It's in reality, it's not even serving them. But they just don't see it yet.
No, agreed. Oh yeah, absolutely, I agree with that one. I've seen that one myself. I agree with that. So, let's keep those good vibes going with that one. This question is: have some of the science? Oh, well, I've already started. Have some of the science fiction programs on movies and TVs been telling us parts of our own history in order to gain our trust, perhaps, and add messages for programming? Shows like Battlestar Galactica and V and etc.
Wow, what an interesting question.
Yeah.
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 No, what you don't know is that Rebecca and I have pre-recorded something, and it kind of deals with that very same topic. But I don't know that I should be the one to say anything about it. So why don't you just stay tuned, and you will get information about that in the coming weeks. How about that? Does that work for you, Rebecca?
That absolutely works perfect for me. And honestly, we will be making these announcements in the next coming few weeks because it has been already recorded in relationship to that question. That's why when I started reading it, I went, oh, all right, I already started it. We'll go ahead and go for it. I thought it was kind of fun. How interesting. Yeah, I love it. I love it.
The answer is yes, and the answer is no.
Yeah.
So what's the next question?
Oh, well, let's see what we've got here. Do you know about Courtney Brown?
No, not really. I know that he's the remote viewer, correct?
Yes, and that was what somebody was asking, if you were familiar with any of the information that Courtney's been sharing in regards to his remote viewing results.
One of the individuals that contacted me asked about, I believe, Mr. Brown. One of the things that was brought to my attention was that they saw some things happening in 2013. And I believe it had to do with asteroids hitting the planet. I'm not sure if that's what they're referring to or not. Is that a possibility? It's a possibility because we are going through the galactic equator where there is a great deal of debris. I am convinced that we will get intervention, and if there's even a remote chance of that happening, that the road will be plowed for us so that we make it safely through the other side. If it has something to do with something else that he said, I'm not aware of it. That's the only thing that's been brought to my attention in the last, I think, 40 days was something about that. They wanted to know if the A's had talked about that. So, and they had addressed that there was a concern about, passing through the galactic equator because of this magnetic field, this plasmic field, and the debris. And I've shared this with several people in the UFO field, including those in the exopolitics community, that was one of their major concerns. But if you've been watching YouTube and you've seen the huge motherships, Jupiter-sized motherships, hanging around the sun, I'm very encouraged that they're going to plow the road for us. So I don't even consider that a genuine concern any longer.
That's really good news.
Yeah, I think what we need to be focusing on is the bozos trying to control and run our planet.
Well, we all have to step up our game. There's no doubt about that, Alex. I think we all have to step up our game. This
is our planet. This is our home. These are our families. We need to engage. We have to engage. We just have to. You know, we're being forced to. Because we have to. Look where it's gotten us, you know? It's crazy.
There's a ton of movements out there. I have to tell you, there's a ton of movements out there, Alex, with citizens all across this globe that are you know, taking up arms, and I don't mean weapons. They're taking up arms. They're finding peaceful solutions. They're making some changes in their own communities. There are people that are bringing forth just a massive quantity of information, cultures that would be based on what's called contributionism, cultures that are based on commodities, as you've talked about in some of your other interviews. I mean, the free energy, cars that run on water. We have the ability and capability and the technology of cleaning up all of this mess that's been created in our waters, in our land, in our fields, and in our atmosphere. All of that does exist, and it's just a matter of us standing up and saying, we want to clean up this mess, and we're not going to make any more messes like this again. We're not going to allow for it. This is our home. This is our backyard, literally. So I have the, and I'm not being, you know, an over-optimistic person. I see all the, you know, recognize all of the challenges and the obstacles and the potentials out there. But, you know, I feel like that we have a better chance now than we ever have. And as far as all these cycles that we've all been through, to really create a permanent positive change, to bring this planet and the humans on the planet in a higher level of vibration and frequency and harmonics, where we truly can begin to live in a more peaceful and harmonious and healthy environment in a loving, kind way from our hearts.
Yes, we absolutely have the ability and the power to do it. We just have to engage.
So, quick question, because we're going to be running out of time here in a few minutes. I would like to speak to you on chemtrails a little bit. You know, they're talking about, and this gets into a couple questions. I mean, there was literally 100 questions that came in tonight. We obviously couldn't even touch the tip of the iceberg with the questions. But in the chemtrails, I got this information last year that they changed the quote-unquote formula. It's the only way I know how to word that, of the chemtrails, and it contained nanotechnology. And then here it is a year later, I see where somebody has pulled off some information where they're showing these little tiny computer chips that literally are no bigger than a pinhead that can embed in the skin, that's been put into the solutions that they're spraying in our air. Do the A's, have they ever talked to you about the chemtrails or any of the nanotechnology or that type of an implant and what its purpose is? Has there been any information to you from them?
Well, you know, I intuitively knew you were going to ask this question, that this question was going to come up tonight. And I'm probably going to disappoint a lot of folks. I've never really had an opportunity to discuss chemtrails with Mornay. You know, Cassiopeia has passed away years ago, but I have not had a chance to discuss this with Mornay. You know, I always go up whenever I talk to him. There's always a list, and you know, the conversations have a life of their own, and I'm not always in control of the conversations. You know, there are things he wants to impart, and I go with that. You know, he's my teacher, my mentor.
Sure.
So, but as far as the nanotechnology, you know, the fact that this is such a malicious act of what they're doing, but I can honestly tell you I really don't have any fear, because we're getting help all the time. And whatever they're going to try to do to not only harm us, well, they're trying to harm us because we're basically hostages. It's going to be undone, okay? Yes, it's having effects, and I believe some people are, you know, genuinely sick from what's happening. But as far as it actually hurting all of humanity, it's not going to be allowed to happen. It just isn't. But it's an incredibly malicious act. And we should not tolerate it for a second. We should find out who's doing it, who's creating it, who's putting it in there. We know Evergreen is flying these airplanes, Evergreen Airlines.
Yes.
And we need to put them out of business. We just need to put them out of business. It is not okay.
Agreed.
So,
Agreed. So, Alex,
that's
here
all
we are.
I have on that. That's all I have on that.
Well, and the only reason I brought it up was because of the implant information. And, maybe in future conversations between us, we can chat a little bit more about that. We can bring some more pieces of information. You've been absolutely the most gracious tonight with the wealth and the amount of information that you've brought forward, on behalf of myself and everybody, Revolution Radio, Wolf Spirit Radio, all the chat boxes, and we thank you for sharing all of this incredible information. We know there's a lot in there to digest, so I do want to remind everyone that there's archives going to be posted everywhere. They'll be up at wolfspiritradio.com under the archives, and look under Journeys with Rebecca. That should be up either later tonight or tomorrow. I do know there's other people that will also be placing, it maybe even be at freedomslips.com archives. There's all kinds of people that are probably recording this, so I suspect that this is going to go everywhere. So I suggest that you might want to listen to this again, because there was a whole lot of stuff that Alex said that may not have come across in actual words. Just saying, Alex.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And, thank you so much for your wonderful job of interviewing and having me on your program. And please thank Dave again for, having me on Wolf Radio. And it's just an honor and a privilege. And I know I've been out of it, but, we're in day-to-day survival here. And, we have a roof over our head until Thursday, and after that we don't. So it's a challenge. It's a challenge to do this, to walk this path, and to deal with all the crap that comes with it. It's just, this is not a pity party, and I'm not trying to go there. Folks, there are trailblazers, and then there are those who follow. And, we get tired hacking weeds. Let me tell you, we really do. Just trying to cut through the forest, and God bless all of you. Just hang in there, and I know some of you are, in the same spot we're in, hanging by our fingernails. Just have hope. Hold on to your hope. Tomorrow will be a better day. Somehow we managed to get through it. But things are changing for the better. They really are. It may not look like it, but the major media is not. They don't support humanity. They really don't.
They support their own luxury condos and.
Well, they have their own agenda, and they're being spoon-fed a lot of crap.
Yes.
But many of them are waking up as well. They really are. The alternative media is growing by leaps and bounds. And there's a reason for that. There is a real, genuine reason for that. So,
gotta love it, don't you? You gotta love it, really, Alex. You gotta love it.
Yeah. It's coming together. You can actually begin to see it come together.
Well, now, Alex, we've talked about your the website alexcollier.org. Before we let
James Harkin.
Yep.
James Harkin put that up. I don't own that site. That is not me. He's a wonderful young man who did that on his own, and we are most appreciative that he has done that. And if you ever get a chance to, and you think the information has any value to you, please send him an email and just thank him for doing that. He does that all on his own nickel.
He's been great. He's been in the chat box tonight. He's been chatting with everyone. A very supportive and loving individual. So we do want to acknowledge James hearken for that. Is there any other, besides the alexcollier.org website, or is there any other mentions that you need to make before we let you go for the time being until we make the announcements?
Info@captaindinar.com, info@captaindinar.com. And, if you can help and support in any way, please do.
Yeah, we really, again, we're going to ask everyone if you can to help Alex out. Soon enough, everything shifts and changes, and it really is about us supporting each other. So we want to thank everyone for that. Thank you for your support. Thank you for coming out. But most of all, thank you, Alex, for, again, sharing your valuable time, your information with us. I really do think you're really a great guy. I really enjoy having you here. I cannot wait until we interact again. So thank you for that. Really, I'm serious.
The honor and the privilege have been mine.
Oh, thank you. You guys, thank you all for showing up. I will see you back here on Thursday from 6 to 7 p.m. Central Time on an open mic night called Synchronicity. I hope you'll join me until we meet again, where your life's journey leads you. Many blessings, everyone, and good night.